Hi everyone, it's Debbie here. Welcome to week 7 of our remote learning. I hope you're all well and all had a fantastic half term. We've had great weather, so I hope that's made a difference to you and lifted your spirits. So we've only got a few weeks left now of our learning, and what I want to cover in those weeks are English for life skills. I always try to do that anyway. For example, we've just been talking about descriptive writing. We've done a lot of descriptive writing, and that can be used for so many purposes, as we've seen. We can use that to persuade people to do things, to look at reviews maybe, or to persuade them to go on to a particular place for our holiday destination we looked at last week. And this time we're going to look at employability skills. And someone once said to me, well, Miss, I can speak English, so why am I learning English? Well, it's the way that you use your English which is important in life, to communicate. And no more so than with employability. We all need to know how to write a good CV and a good cover letter to get the job of our dreams, basically. Even if you want to be self-employed, you still need to sell yourself. I know some people think that's quite funny saying it that way, but you do literally sell your skills to other people, and you need to know how to communicate that successfully. So this week we will be looking at writing a cover letter. To do that, we will have our lesson objectives. By the end of today's lesson, I really hope that you can differentiate between formal and informal vocabulary. We have looked at this before, but this is more important than ever when you're writing a job application. We're going to look at ways that you can search for jobs. I'm sure many of you already know this because a lot of you I know do have jobs, but I just want to reinforce that for you. And we're going to look at hard, soft and transferable skills. So we're just going to define what each of those things means, because it's important to cover all of those when you are trying to sell yourself to an employer. And finally, we are going to write the cover letter. That is our assignment for today, which will be you can find under assignment 7, writing a cover letter. So formal versus informal language. We've looked at this quite a lot, haven't we, when we've been analysing articles, such as newspaper articles. We've seen that standard English is used, formal language is used. It doesn't use colloquialisms. By that I mean slang words. It uses standard English words that you would find in the Collins or Oxford Dictionary. So, and we use this for our essays, but also we use this particularly if we want to communicate with people of any type, really, other than friends and relatives, particularly when we are applying for a job. Informal English, that's what is used when you're using your local dialect or slang words with friends, with children and with family as well. Here we have formal language and the equivalent as informal language. So you can see it's still very illegible English. You can see, for example, where in formal language you say would like, in informal you'd say want. Or moving down a little bit more, even I am writing to becomes I'm writing to, so you're shortening it there. So it's not so much just your dialect words, it's also standard English, but with formal language, it's like a certain template is being used. You're using a template of words to get across meaning, and this is particularly the case in a letter of application. Just a small thing like if it was the name of a person you're writing to, we've done this before, you write yours sincerely, yours faithfully, rather than kind regards, although that is perfectly acceptable, but yours faithfully, yours sincerely would be more formal in this case. So if it's dear sir, madam, yours faithfully, and if you had the name of the person, yours sincerely. Let's have another example. Yeah, for example, so thank you or I appreciate rather than just thanks. And again here, I look forward to rather than I'm looking forward to. That's very small there. It's a very small difference, but it does make a difference to an overall appearance of a letter. Okay, so it's your turn now to do this exercise. So give yourself about 10 minutes. Just pause the video. Try not to look back at the previous slide, just to test yourselves to see what you have remembered. And what I want you to do is either write the formal or the informal equivalent of the words in the table. And those words are up the top here. So, for example, the formal of would like to, you need to look for the informal, that's where the blank space is here. So the informal of that is want to. Okay, the next one, you have the informal, which is ask for. And what would that be formally? It would be request. Okay, so you carry on now. So go from assist and now look for the informal and carry on. Okay, starting from the top then, would like to is want to. Ask for, the formal equivalent is request. Assist, the informal equivalent is help. It's about, the formal equivalent is it is regarding. Provide, the informal is give. Kind regards, the formal is yours sincerely or yours faithfully. I am writing to, the informal is I'm writing. Make better, the formal is improve. Organize, arrange, the informal is sort out. Get, the formal is receive. Enquire, the informal is ask. Thanks, the formal is thank you, appreciate. Mr. Davis or dear Miss Sir Madam, the informal is hello, hi there. I'm looking forward to, the formal is I look forward to. And finally, demonstrate, the informal is show. I hope you got all those right. And here's a table of words which you might find useful to print off and keep as a reference tool. So as you can see in the left-hand columns in red is informal, and in the right-hand columns formal. So for example, the informal word would be right, the formal word would be correct, etc. So a very useful tool there. So let's look at job searching then. So I'm sure, as I said, you've all looked for jobs in the past. There's several different techniques that you can use, and I'm sure you know how to do all of these. So it says, so don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's a good idiom, that. It means don't just rely on one method. Try lots of different things, such as look in the newspapers. Evening Standard's a really good one, or if you have a local community newspaper, even better if you want to work in your local area. Job search websites, many job search websites now. Some of the better ones are CV Library, Indeed, Total Jobs, Reed, really good ones out there. And of course, if there's a specific vocational area you want to look at, then you would look at a particular magazine for that vocation, for that job, or a particular website as well. So yeah, company websites as well. Is there a particular company that you'd love to work for? Then this is the one to go to for that. Networking, word of mouth. So you'd be amazed at how easily You can get a job through someone that you know, or someone, a family friend, for example. And of course, social media, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I'd say, is a particularly good one that's very much focused on employment and a professional networking. Facebook, I'd say more social, but definitely LinkedIn. And don't forget that you should use people that you know. So always keep in touch with people from school and college that you feel would be able to give you a good reference because they know you well. So your tutors, your workplace experience as well, very important, because that's what's going to build up your CV and be a really good reference for you for the future. So always make sure though that you ask that person for their permission, because if something just turns up in their inbox, they're just going to wonder what's going on. Also, if it goes into their junk mail, you can check whether they've received that. And more times than not, people will be more than happy to give you a reference, as long as you've done well. When we're writing a cover letter, it's really important that you do list all your skills, and things that might not seem like skills to you will be to other people. And we can put them in different categories, as you see here. And there's things called hard skills and soft skills. So hard skills are those skills that are going to be particularly advantageous to that job. So if it's a position where you want to be a journalist, for example, obviously you're going to have a good knowledge of language. You're going to be able to write well, understand about formatting texts. So it's about having that specific technical knowledge. And it says here, for example, if you might need maths, or you need to use computer programs, or to speak other languages. These are all hard skills. So they're skills that you've learnt that will be useful for that particular job. Now, soft skills are also very important. Again, it depends on the type of job. If perhaps you want to go into the medical profession, then soft skills are really important, because you need to have those skills to communicate with people. You need to have a really good demeanour about you. You have to be polite. You have to be able to communicate effectively and be able to listen. So these are all really good skills for medical profession. If, for example, you were going into management, then you need to be able to demonstrate that you are a good leader, that you can have good time management as well. You're good at organising things, and you can work as part of a team. So these are what we call soft skills. And like I say, you might not think that's a particular skill, but combined with your hard skills, it gives you a good all-round picture to your potential employer. So both really important to have. Okay, so what I want you to do is just write down 3 hard skills and 3 soft skills that you think you possess. So what do you think you're good at with 3 hard skills and 3 soft skills? Just give you a couple of minutes to do that if you just pause the video. Okay, so for example, 3 hard skills that I would particularly push as an English teacher is obviously my degree in English. So English language and literature, certainly that's the top of the list there. But also I have a counselling qualification, so I would push that as well, because that demonstrates a soft skill actually, that I can listen, hopefully, and so it gives an all-round picture to the employer. What other hard skills might I have? Obviously, so apart from my knowledge of English, I have fairly good IT skills. I hope you agree. Although not always with a whiteboard in a classroom, that's something else. And what else? I can read well. I read a whole variety of books. So there's my hard skills. Soft skills, like I said, I can teach. That's my soft skill. I'm a very good organiser, and I can listen, I think. Okay. So on top of our hard skills and our soft skills, we have our transferable skills. So these are skills that you may have learned in a different situation, and they can now be applied to the employment that you're going to be applying for. So these are things such as communication and problem solving and teamwork, really good transferable skills. A really good way of representing yourself with these is by giving an example of a previous situation. So say, for example, you currently work in JD Sports, then you can say, I have good customer skills because I have communicated regularly with my customers and I have good product knowledge. I understand how things work and I know how to sell these to people. And I believe that these skills will now be transferable to this current position. So you link in your past experience with the position that you want to go for. So what are yours? What skills have you developed, for example, while studying at CWC or in a work placement or in your current position? So have a little think about that. So let's move on to our cover letter now and the success criteria. I'm talking a lot about success criteria because that is what we are trying to achieve. So first of all, as with any formal letter, your address will go on the top right of the page, and we will see an example of that coming up. Their address goes top left under your address. So just under your address, over on the left-hand side, you will see their address. The date goes under your address on the right, so you leave one space and then put the date. It's important as well the way you write the date. It should be with the month written in full. I'll show you that particularly on the next slide. So an introduction, where you saw or heard about the job, a brief explanation of why you think you're suited to this job, and an ending. An ending's really important, and remember to sign it off. Use A4 paper and keep it formal. Use the formal language. It's got to be neat. A particularly good way of doing it is justifying the text. So clicking on the justify button at the top of the Word document so that it's even on both sides of the margins. That looks particularly smart. And please, please use your spell checker. No spelling mistakes, please. And make sure the spell checker is a UK spell checker if you're applying for a job in this country. As I've said before, Microsoft defaults to a US spell checker. So you just need to click along the bottom of the page and make sure you change that to the UK spell checker. Of course, some employers still will ask for a written letter, a handwritten letter, and that's because they believe it shows your personality more and really does show how neat you can be. So don't be surprised, occasionally you might have to do this still, or print off an application form and fill that in by hand. So very, very important to keep that neatness in mind. Make sure, like I say, make sure no spelling mistakes in either the cover letter or the CV. They have a lot of letters put in front of them and CVs, and it's an easy way of just throwing yours to the side. So full name and address on both the CV and cover letter in case they get separated, and keep a copy for your own reference. So if you get called to interview, you can remember exactly what you said. It's a really good way of preparing yourself for interview. We will be looking at that in another lesson, I think. I'm going to be looking at how to present yourself for an interview. I think that's an important skill to have. If you're applying for a work experience placement, you obviously won't have that much experience, but a cover letter, like I said, will really add the final touches. Just to recap, so writing a persuasive cover letter, this is the format that we're looking for. So we can break it down into 4 paragraphs, would be more than enough. Try to write at least several lines in each paragraph, although the first paragraph might be quite short. Basically, you need a good, positive opening statement as to why you're writing the letter, detail the position, where you saw it advertised, and the job ID. If there's no job ID, don't worry, just refer to the actual job title. And also refer to your CV, so please find enclosed my CV. Second paragraph, why are you suitable for this job and what attracted you to it? Why do you want to work for them in particular? Really important. Build on your hard skills, your soft skills, your transferable skills. Again, third paragraph, it's quite interchangeable really with the second. Just go into a little bit more detail here, why you believe your skills match this job and your strengths and how you could make a difference to that company. And finally, just repeat your interests. So, I would love to have this job because it would be an ideal time for me to work in this environment, and I would really enjoy working for your company. Something like that. I really hope I get the opportunity to come for an interview. Thank you very much for reading my letter, and I look forward to hearing from you. Remember to sign it off appropriately. So if the letter was to Miss Jones, then it'll be yours sincerely. If it didn't have a name on it, to dear sir or madam, you'd do yours faithfully. A lot of jobs nowadays are advertised through recruiters, and there it's a little bit more less formal. So it might say contact John at the Veritas Recruitment Agency. And so you write, Dear John, and sign off with kind regards or kind regards, whoever. So yeah, lots of different ways of doing it. So really tailor make it to the job you're applying for and the person that you're writing the letter to. Really important that you remember that. Here's a great example of a formal letter written as a covering letter. So this is from a Miss Amy Beach, as you can see down the bottom here, and she's applying for a position as an apprentice with a motor mechanic. So we can see up here, she's got her top right, we've got her address, and she's left one gap and then the date. As I said, the date, make sure it's in a full format, so 16th of May 2020. Over on the left here, this is the address of the company that she's writing to, Motors Limited, and she obviously doesn't have the name of the person, so she started with Dear Sir / Madam. Please note also when the format, so there's a comma there and then there's a space before we actually start the first paragraph. So let's read that together. I'm writing to inquire regarding the position of apprentice motor mechanic within your company, which I saw advertised on Indeed, reference 6543. I have attached my CV, which demonstrates that I have successfully completed an extended work experience placement for the past year at Brown's Garage. I thoroughly enjoyed my one-day-a-week placement here and feel that it has been a positive start into my automotive career. I'm a very hard-working person and would be a reliable employee. I've also shown commitment in my outside interests and feel that being a valuable member of both Sea Cadets and St John's Ambulance groups have developed my teamwork skills and confidence in working with others. I also hold a valid first aid certificate. I look forward to hearing from you. Yours faithfully, A. Beach, Miss Amy Beach. Okay, so what things do we need to look at there? So Amy has included in her first paragraph the position that she's applying for, where she saw it, it was on Indeed, a website, and the job reference. She says she's attaching her CV, and she's also launched straight into her work experience here. She could have done that in a second paragraph, but it's also fine here. And also she's talking about her qualities. So her hard skills are the fact that she's had this past experience, but her soft skills are that she's a very hard-working person and a reliable employee. Her transferable skills are in the next paragraph. She's saying that by being a member of both Sea Cadets and St John's Ambulance, she's developed teamwork skills and her confidence. And also she's showing here that she has a first aid certificate, which is a really great thing to have. It would really help you in any position to have that. She signed it off correctly with a yours faithfully. And if you are sending this electronically, so via email, it's perfectly acceptable just to write your initial and surname here in italics as your signature, and then your full name underneath. Okay, so if you were writing it as a handwritten letter, okay, also some people just print off the letter, they sign it with their own signature, scan it back and send it, but more often than not, it's perfectly acceptable to write just A Beach here in italics. As I said, this is the justification here, so on both sides of the margin you can see that the letter's been justified, given it a really neat appearance. So where's Jason gone wrong here? He's gone wrong quite a few times, I'm afraid, so this is not an ideal cover letter for a job. Let's have a look, shall we? Hello, my name's Jason, but you can call me Jay. Smiley face. I'm studying at CWC at the moment. My course is BTEC Business at L3. I want to become a property developer or a trader in the city. My dream is to become very, very, very rich and to be like a millionaire by the age of 30. I mean, it's what everyone wants, isn't it? When I'm not at college, I work in my uncle's shop. We sell mobile phones and computer and accessories for all type of electronic gadget. I think this is a good experience and will be helping me learn a lot about being like businessmen in the future. When I'm not working or at college, I like chilling with my crew in my neighbourhood or going Westfield or watching movies on Sky. Hope to hear soon, fam. Okay, so just take a few minutes, pause the video, see if you can identify all those mistakes. Okay, so of course, first of all, Jason should have addressed this correctly. He should have been to the name of the person he was writing to, or dear sir, madam. They don't really want to call him Jay. They don't want to see a smiley face. It's really far too informal. Lack of punctuation there. And of course, BTEC, that should be all capital letters. Business, capital letter, spelled incorrectly as well. And level 3 and 4. Next paragraph, become, that's been incorrectly spelled, so he's obviously not used his spell checker, and he's used that a couple of times. We don't really want that. And slang here with in it, and to be fair, it's inappropriate just to talk about just wanting to be very, very, very rich and a millionaire. It's not what you do in a job application. So what else? We're moving down. Yeah, more vocabulary and punctuation here. So uncles, that should be the apostrophe between the E and the S there. His uncle's workshop, just one uncle, so the apostrophe there. Lack of punctuation again, he's misspelled and. Accessories, that should be IES. Yeah, it's just poor really, isn't it? He hasn't really got his plurals going together either. Yeah, he's left out his indefinite articles here, so I think this is a good experience. Will be helping me learn a lot about being a businessman, not like businessman, in the future. He's missed his capital I here, his pronoun. I'm not working or at college. I like chilling with my crew in my neighbourhood. So I like to relax by socialising in my community. That would be acceptable if it was relevant. Also neighbourhood, that's the American spelling. Going Westfield, probably just general shopping. Sky should have capital letters. And also incorrectly signed off. So finally, it's on to our assignment. Assignment 7, writing a cover letter. So you've seen an advertisement for a job you like online in a newspaper, a magazine, and decide to apply. Now I've got those jobs for you coming up in the next few slides, and I'd like you to choose one of those jobs to apply for. Job 1, Job 2, or Job 3. They will be written again on the actual assignment, so you don't have to keep referring back to this PowerPoint. So what should you include? Let's just go over, let's recap on what we've just done. So your reason for writing, a reference number if there is one, where you saw that advertisement, and of course selling your skills with your hard skills, so your knowledge of skills for the position itself, your soft skills, so your personality, how that would contribute to the job, and your transferable skills, so what have you done in the past which would be useful for this position. So include work experience, obviously your CV, and request a response. So I look forward to hearing from you and hope that I am suitable for an interview, something like that. Remember, formal language, don't ask questions, just put true statements and be polite. Of course, I do want to see compound and complex sentences. Check your SPAG and sign it off accordingly. Okay, this is job 1. It's not very clear, is it? What I wanted also to show you is how jobs appear in different formats, so different types of font, different layouts. Might be a little bit confusing to negotiate the information that you have to look for occasionally. So for example, normally, so at the top here is actually the recruitment agency who are advertising this position, so not the company themselves, so that can be a bit confusing sometimes. The position is for an IT help desk engineer. The salary, so starting salary 18,000 up to 23,000, so really good, excellent graduate salary there. It's in North London, and the job ID is IT help / Enfield, so it's obviously in Enfield. And then it's just telling you a little bit about the role, about you. That's what they're looking for, that's what they want to find. So when you write your covering letter, try to include as many of these things as possible, because sometimes they just search on key words and they will be looking for those words. What's in it for you? So this is the type of benefits you can expect to see. Most importantly, at the bottom, here's the contact details here. So this is to John at the Verus Recruitment Agency. He would like a cover letter and a CV. Normally there'd be an email address here. And it says a closing date as well. So you always have to make sure that you submit your application before that closing date. You can then expect to wait anything up to a week, maybe after the closing date, before you hear if you're successful for an interview, or if there's another process leading up to that interview. Unfortunately, sometimes, or majority of times, if you haven't been successful, you don't hear at all. So it can be quite demoralising, but you just have to carry on because there's always that job for you out there. So job number 2, this is for a talent assistant, and this is directly from the company. The company is Arrow Media, which it says is a television company, and they're looking for an intern. So it's a 6-month internship, so make sure you read these job adverts very carefully, because you can see it's not a full-time position. However, it would give you fantastic experience, and as an intern you will get something paid to you, even if it's just expenses, but you will get some pay. So it's very worth going for these type of jobs if that's a particular area. Quite often in this type of area of media, it's really hard to break into, so this sort of thing would be ideal. Again, look really closely at what they're looking for. So what you will learn, so this basically is, this will be your duties that you'll have to do. Knowledge, skills, experience, that's what they're looking for. So again, in your cover letter, make sure you cover those, as many as possible of those, because they will be matching up those key words. And finally, it says here, you've got to send your CV and cover letter here to the HR manager, Jane Starr, by no later than 6th of June, so that's the closing date. A tip here, you don't know her well enough to call her Jane. I would suggest the best way to address her here is as Ms. Starr, so Ms as in MS dot Starr, Ms. Starr, so not Mrs, because you don't know if she's married or not, so it'd be Ms. Starr. That's how I would address her here. And finally, this is a job advert for an activity leader at Whitgift Summer School in Croydon. So it's quite difficult to read, but again, I just wanted to demonstrate how fonts are always going to be different and layouts are going to be different, and it's about reading the the advert really carefully to pick out those points for your application. It is much clearer on the actual assignment, so you'll be able to read it much more clearly there. So what's here? Yeah, this is applying directly to Whitgift itself. It's a school in Croydon, like I said, and this is for just the summertime. It's a temporary position, fixed term contract, and it gives the exact dates there that they need you. So obviously you must make sure that you're available for these dates if you are going to apply for this position. You can't suddenly say, actually, I've got a 2-week holiday, I've just got to pop off to Spain, I'll be back. No, can't do that. It's actually giving you your fixed pay here, which is pretty good for a summer position. Again, if you read it carefully, it'll say qualities that they're looking for. I mean, by the way, these are actual jobs out there, or have been out there. These are actual positions. This one, they want you to have a degree. So if you want to apply for this, just pretend you have got a degree and that you have all these qualities. So any of these jobs that you decide to apply for, just pretend that you do have all those qualities. Even if you don't at the moment, you will in the future, I'm sure. So look at all these things here, and it says at the bottom, send your CV with a covering letter to Peter Parker at pparker@whitgift.org. That's just a made-up email that I've made up there. And closing date for this one's 6th of June. Remember, when you're actually working on the assignment, to work on it in the correct way. So you need to click on the ellipsis, which is the 3 dots to the right of the title, to the right of the assignment title. So this one is, like I said, writing a cover letter, assignment 7. Open it in Word Online. That saves the original document to your own personalised copy. Complete all the 3 tasks on there and then close the document and click the hand in by the closing date. And good luck.